everybody, it's Miv. I'm here with Lavender Bergamot Kitchen, and today we're talking a little bit about Easter. Easter's coming up. So I'm gonna make my mom's carrot cake. My mom made the best carrot cake. You're gonna see that is a little different than what you're used to, but not till we get to the frosting portion. So I'm gonna dive right in. I've started with 2 cups of sugar and 1.25 cup of grapeseed oil. The recipe calls for salad oil. I got this because it's really good for high heat, and so I thought I'd be more likely to use it than vegetable oil. And then I have 2 cups of flour, and in this little bowl I have 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And you're supposed to sift it together. So I've started sifting, and I'm just going to finish with the spices. And if you don't have a sifter, a good tool is a whisk. You can just put this all in a bowl together and whisk it together, and that mixes it and kind of sifts it at the same time. And then I have 2 eggs. So I'm going to add the dry ingredients and the eggs alternating. So I'm going to do about half of the dry ingredients. Oh, I almost forgot. I'll just put it in this part. I'm going to do a little nutmeg. And I like my nutmeg grinded fresh. And this is my mom's old nutmeg grinder, so shout out to my mom. Okay. And when it's not quite all mixed in, I'm going to add in half the eggs. You could use a mixer for this if you want, but don't feel like you need to really mix it a lot really fast. You don't. Okay, and again, before they're all the way mixed in, I'm going to add the rest of the flour. I can really smell that nutmeg. This recipe my mom actually got in Gourmet Magazine in the 60s, but it wasn't a magazine recipe. Somebody had, written a letter to the magazine and submitted this cake. So it was originally submitted by a woman named Cameron, so she called it Carrot Cake Cameron. But I just call it my mom's carrot cake. And it's what I grew up eating. It was definitely one of my favorite cakes growing up. I'm going to make it in a bundt pan, but you can also, I've used regular pans, an 8 or 9 inch, probably 2 cake pans would be good for this, or makes really good cupcakes. Okay. Then I have 3 cups of grated carrots. Hopefully my bowl is big enough. Oh, a lot of carrot. It's going to be very moist. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to add is 1 cup of chopped up pecans. This is optional, so if you don't like nuts or you don't like nuts in your cake, Just leave them out and it'll be fine. You can also use walnuts or any kind of nut that you like, but pecans I like because they're not bitter like walnuts, and but they have that really nice texture that's not quite as hard as like an almond or a pistachio. So they're really nice to bake with. They get kind of toasty. And that's it. And I'm going to put it in this pan, and then I'm going to bake it at 350 for just over an hour until I poke it with a knife or a skewer and it comes out pretty clean. I did oil the pan a little bit with the same grapeseed oil. If I were using a regular pan that didn't have a hole in the middle, I would use parchment, just because that's what I'm used to doing as a baker. But this will be good. Okay, and that's it. I'm going to put it in the oven and we'll see you a little bit later. Hey, I'm back. The cake is still in the oven, and I'm going to make the topping for it. So I think most people are used to a cream cheese frosting with their carrot cake. Growing up, my mom always did it, or Cameron suggested that an orange glaze. And so I was actually fully an adult before I realized that cream cheese was the traditional topping for carrot cake, because this is how we always had it. So I have 1 cup of sugar and 1/4 cup of cornstarch just dry in this pan, and I've stirred them together. I'm going to add 1 cup of fresh orange juice that I squeezed, and before I squeezed it, I zested it, which is much easier to do it before you cut the orange in half. So I'm going to kind of add the juice a little slowly. It's already getting a little thick from that cornstarch. Okay, and then I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I have the zest from 2 oranges. The recipe says 2 tablespoons, but I didn't measure. It's roughly 2 tablespoons, but maybe it's a little more. Why waste it? And then, last but not least, I have 2 tablespoons of butter at room temperature, cut into a few little pieces. Now it's really important to acknowledge that this is cold still, so the butter is not going to melt yet. I'm going to turn the stove on to low. And then I'm just going to stir it. And what's going to happen is it's going to heat up, the butter's going to melt, and it's going to get thick, and you can, I don't know if you can see it. Right now it looks really cloudy because the sugar and the cornstarch are still powdered. But they're going to melt into the liquid, and it's going to get kind of glossy looking and not quite as opaque. And this is just going to take a little while. This, I will let this cool before I put it on the cake. And I will let the cake cool a little bit also. And the best way to cool something like this is Well, an efficient way to cool it is in like a pan, a big pan, like a pie plate or a square glass dish. Something where you can really spread it out so it cools faster. Hey, so I've been stirring this for, I don't know, 15 minutes maybe. It's gotten a lot thicker. It's really shiny. It looks a little bit more translucent, although it is not totally translucent. It is going to thicken as it cools, so you don't want it to be super thick. With cornstarch, what you want to look for is when it just starts to barely simmer. You'll see a few little bubbles. And once cornstarch bubbles, that's all it needs. You can turn it off and it's been activated and it'll thicken up as it cools. So I'm going to let this cool and then I'm going to let the cake cool and we'll put it all together a little bit later. Hey everybody, so the cake is out of the oven and I have flipped it out and put it on this plate. In all honesty, it did stick a little bit on the bottom, so I kind of just scraped that part out and put it on top. So it'll still taste good, it doesn't matter. This is the beautiful glaze I made and it has cooled. It's around room temperature right now, so I'm just gonna pour it all over the top and kind of let it drizzle down as it will. This orange flavor just really goes with the carrot. I can't even express what a good combination it is. I would like to encourage you to try it if you like carrot cake. And if you're fanatical about cream cheese frosting, maybe not. This is completely different. But if you are kind of ambivalent about it, then this could be your new favorite. I personally love citrus, so I'm always looking for ways to use it. So this could also be used in a layer cake. It is a little bit messy, but if you chilled the curd in the fridge for a little bit, it wouldn't be as runny as this. So that's it. I'm gonna let it cool a little bit more and then we're gonna cut it and taste it. So thanks for watching. Hope you have a good Easter. Like and subscribe our channel to see more of what we do. Thanks.